Okay. Who? Dan double U. Let's go. Ow, wow, listen right now. Everybody knows the man that says pow. Start the show, gonna talk some toys. This is for the grown-up girls and boys making noise. Let's start the show. Talking Marvel Legends and the money that we blow. Honestly, look, there ain't no stopping me. Turtles and Joes too, let's do this properly. Need to buy more toys, don't tell my bank. Wasn't me, promise it was Hellfire Hank. Whole Who crew, look, they made me do it. If it lands at my door, then I best review it. Screw it, I don't usually boast, but I got Rich M, he's here to host. Raise a toast and raise some ducks. This isn't your average show, we're deluxe. Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews, as always. My name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And hello, welcome back to another Thursday live show recapping the week that was in Marvel Legend news. And thankfully for us, there is always a few little tidbits to go through, including pre-orders, some new pretty promotional pictures. But we are sticking on theme, as last week we have been going back, celebrating the 85 years of Marvel Legends. And we talked about the 1939, the 40s, the 50s, 60s. Well, this week we are continuing that same theme, but with the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Okay, so if you think the thumbnail looks similar, Tanner genuinely messaged me and said that we've done this show already. I went, Tanner, look at the thumbnail, please. The thumbnails are very similar, but go and check out last week's show to see part one. We are continuing the theme this week, and it may be more familiar to you, as I assume a lot of people were probably reading comics during these areas. So it should be fun, but as you know, I cannot do it on my own. Here he is. It's displayed once, Rich M. Rich, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Dan. You alright?
Is that T Grey you got in your hand there?
T Grey,
old school T Grey. So have you had a busy week? Have you got the bank holiday off? That's a more important question.
I'm off all of next week. I've got all of next week off.
Happy days. I know. You doing anything? You going away?
Yeah, going away this weekend for Tenby, and then about then after that.
Happy days. I just consider a holiday just not working. Like, I don't even need to go abroad or leave my house. If I'm not working, I'm on holiday. I'm having a good time. So no, good. I've got the bank holiday off, but then just back to work. Boring. But I will moan about that next week. Right now, let's distract ourselves in the world of Marvel Legend news. But first, let me go through the housekeeping in case this is your first time here. Because last week we did have a comment on the video saying this was my first show. So it proves my point that everyone's first show is, well, every show is someone's first show. So this is episode 189. And basically, if you like Marvel Legends, some nonsense and talking toys, then you're in the right place. All right, so let's go through the housekeeping first and foremost. That is the after show that we will get to in a second. But go and check out all the other long form content on the channel. It is a Legends and Liquor weekend as well. So we are back in the regular scheduled Legends and Liquor program this Sunday. The date is, we're in May now, aren't we? Sunday the 5th of May at 6 p.m. UK time. Back to our regular. We've had the last month for Legends and Liquors were all over the place because we did it in a circle and then I did one on a Friday. So finally we are back on a Sunday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are around the planet. But Legends and Liquor is this weekend. So if you are a channel member at the Members Club tier or higher, you can start hitting me up with those fresh DMs after this show and I'll add you to the list. 2 groups of 8. Let's talk some toys and some pickups. But our friend Cull is not allowed on because I've seen the amount of figures he has brought since returning off holiday. So I can't be doing another 6-hour stream. I promise you it won't be 6 hours. Joes and Jews will be back, so will Turtles and Tea, of course, and then every single Thursday with me and Rich. Friday is here. If you want to support the channel, contribute to the live stream live right now on YouTube, then you can do that via the Streamlabs donation link at the top of the description or in the live chat. If you go to the bottom of the live chat, you will see that little dollar symbol. If you hit that, you can contribute with a super chat, and if it is over £4 or $4, then Friday our talking robot assistant will read it out loud. Forever go down in history of being part of the show and contributing to the channel. I appreciate that. And then, of course, hit that join button. That's what it's all about. Become a part of the channel you are supporting on the shows like Legend in the Liquor and the Inner Circle. Always a good time. Again, the last Legend in the Liquor was the longest stream ever, celebrating 3 years. And I don't want to scare Rich or anything, but we are approaching a couple of anniversaries here on this stream, as we are on episode 189. So we're approaching 200 by the summer. And we're also going to be having the birthday of the stream as well. Like, we're being our 5th year, essentially. So,
What, you keep this 5th year? It's not 5th year.
well,
It's 4th.
It's our 4th birthday, but we will move into the 5th year.
When you were born, how old are you?
Yes, 0. Yes,
0.
Yes,
So your first birthday. So this is the 4th.
Okay. 4th birthday, but moving into the 5th year is my point. That's where my brain goes. But you're not wrong. I'm wrong. Right, let's go to the chat. Let's see who is there. Right, that's just me in the chat. Where's me and Rich in the chat? That's our topic today, celebrating Marvel 85th, of course. And there is the chat. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit, see who was in nice and early. Literal Action Figs was, this man knows how to have a rave while unboxing Marvel Legends. Every unboxing video and reel he creates on Instagram just makes me want to rave out. Honestly, crazy banging beats, as they say. Does anyone say that anymore? Probably not. Our Greek friend is there as well. Banging beats. It's British. That's a British thing, like bangers and mash. Do the Americans know what bangers and mash is, if I say that? Like, do you know what that is? Basically, all I've got to see is the man thing. So if this is true, but we're going to see more Marvel Legends figures. I want to see the whole wave of Spider-Man 2 PS5. Maybe I'm not the biggest fan of Gamerverse figures, so you probably won't get much hype of that from me personally. I still haven't played Spider-Man 2 either. Have you played Spider-Man 2?
No, I haven't.
Same.
Miles Morales was the last one I played, so yeah, I haven't played Spider-Man 2.
I've got a PS5 now, so I could actually play it. I just need to buy it first, but I spend it all on plastic crap instead.
Yeah, I've got a PS5 and got so many games that I haven't played, so I haven't bought anything this year because I was going to get the Final Fantasy, and I was like, well, I haven't finished the last one, so
yeah,
don't buy it. Don't buy it.
I just need to quit streaming and play some games. That's what I'll do maybe one day. Hey, Healy Boy 1 says, hey guys, Jelly Figs. Jamie Gitchard, Paul McCarthy says, hello all who crew. Let's get our chat on. Yes, absolutely. Jay's Toy Collection UK says, evening all. Lady Mac, the better half of Paul, is there as well. She says, hi who crew. Pixels and Plastic, it's Thursday peeps. You know what that means. Talking toys with the lads. And would I assume, Will, that your Mrs. Queen V is with you as well? If so, shout outs to both, of course. Andy's in there, says, what's up who crew? Someone hook me up with a membership. Yeah, channel memberships can be gifted, but they are randomly distributed, so I cannot. I wish I could gift channel memberships, as I would, but I can't. YouTube is weird. It doesn't let you do that. Does it let you do that on Twitch? Should I just move to Twitch? No, let's not move to Twitch. Let's not do that. Damien, Rich, I was never going to move to Twitch, by the way, ever. Just, it's not my vibe. Kevin, Jason Lopez,
we can go in like a swimming pool.
You can do anything on Twitch, can't you? You can literally just.
You can't do anything. You do get banned if you do.
Oh, okay. They've changed. Okay. Right,
yeah.
Fair enough.
OnlyFans for everything else.
All right. Sam. People have been telling me to make an OnlyDans, but you'd pay to not see that. Trust me. Hobby. We've got Aunt Jamelia again. Is that Jamelia? Am I saying that right? Probably not. But Aunt, let's call her Auntie in the
Jemima.
I'm terrible at reading. It's my own English that's fucked up, not anyone else's.
Thinking of Birmingham's very own Jamelia. I don't know. That's what you're thinking of.
What's one of her songs? I was going to sing her a song then, but I couldn't think of one.
Feel some kind of superstar. I better not sing anymore. We get demonetized. That was good.
That was good. That was great. Superstar was the song I was trying to get, but I couldn't pull it. Striding, flamingo sauce or flaming sauce. It looks like flamingo. No, is it? I always get it confused. For God's sake. Kev's collectibles. Justin collects says, hey everybody. Robert says, hello everybody. What a week. Yodel lost my Ant-Man 2-pack. Hasbro refunded, and it was out of stock. Then today I got it recorded, and it came back in stock. Well, hopefully you got it after that debacle. That's a pain in the ass. I do have mine right here. Maybe Dan Who Reviews will actually review some Marvel Legends again. Maybe. I will try over the bank holiday, because I genuinely was excited for this pack. But the Americans got it quicker, which... I just wasn't in a rush. Lacey says, this is my first show. See? Proof is in the pudding. Every show could be someone's first show. Episode 189... is Lacey's first show. Lacey, welcome. Welcome. You were here live on a Thursday night. Hopefully you like Marvel Legends and you're not just randomly click this and you're thinking, what's going on? All right, so stick around if you like Marvel. RP's there as well. Tac, Michael, Joshua, Damien. Queen V does say she's there. Northern Nomad, the sucker. Did they know what Bangers and Mash was, by the way? Did the Americans know? I didn't clock. I'm assuming not. RP says, I love Bangers and Mash. Tanner's in the building, says, hey all. Travis, hello. So hello everybody, I appreciate you all, thank you so much. Let's not mess around and let's get straight into the Marvel Legends news. So of course today's main topic is going to be continuing celebrating the 85 years of Marvel. Unlike Marvel, who seem to have only picked characters within a certain set of decades, we did actually go all the way back to 1939 and you can catch that in last week's show. Today we will be focusing on the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, right? Right, Rich?
70s, 80s, and 90s.
Perfect. But before we do that, let's actually break down this week's news. And just before we went live, we got some brand new, pretty promotional pictures of Marvel's Warbird. Now, unfortunately for our American friends, this is going to be a Target exclusive, but we do now have a pre-order date. She goes up for pre-order next week. So the 9th of May, which is, 9th of May, which is next Thursday, I think. Yes, so a week today, she will go up for pre-order in the US on Target. For us in the UK, she will just be in all of the places you buy your Marvel Legends. So she'll be on Pulse, In Demand, Star Action, Comic and Cocktails, Kapow, I assume, all of that type of places. So you can go and pre-order when she pops up. But she looks very good. As I flick through these pictures, Rich, are you still excited to get Warbird? One of your most wanted, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say one of this series. Yeah. This out of this.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Whatever. 85
yes,
years.
Yes.
This would be one of my most wanted. Yeah. This is my favorite look for Carol Danvers, but like in the top 50 Marvel females, Carol probably wouldn't be in there. I like this costume.
And it is on the Black Widow body. Some people were trying to correct me and say it's not. It is on
it's
the Black
not
Widow.
On the Black Widow. It's not? A modified Black Widow
so
body.
So what's been modified?
Completely different. Everything, because she hasn't got the sculpting bits.
Okay, yeah. So she hasn't got the collar. So the upper torso
is all new.
But the arms,
legs...
Like,
it's completely different, Dan. You don't know what you're talking about.
That's true.
Usual. Oh, listen to the YouTubers' comments. That's what you've got to do.
It was true.
Who are you, Dan? Who are you?
Exactly. That's what's called Dan Who Reviews. I don't know nothing. That's why you're a part of the show, to just correct me on all these things. But maybe I think my brain goes to the same articulation scheme as Black Widow. I think that's what I'm trying to get a point across.
I think that's a fair thing. I think I got what you mean, and I was just taking the piss.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. That's what people are like in the comments. I have to deal with that all the time. But I think where my brain is going is in regards to the same articulation scheme. But no, you're absolutely right in regards to sculpt that has been modified to better suit Carol Danvers in this particular look. But she comes with the alternative heads. Both of their heads have different hair, different masks. She only comes with a set of hands, but at least you get some fisted hands for that neutral look and those blast effects we've seen a million times before. So she goes up for pre-order next week, and we now have the promotional pictures, so we know they're always one step closer when we get these. Earlier last week, or at the end of last week, we had the Ghost Rider pre-order go up as well, or I think it was at the beginning of this week, right? Actually, maybe Tuesday this week. Was it this week?
It was this week, and I know. Yeah, it must have been Tuesday because I was going to Tembe and I missed the pre-order for this, but I managed to get one. I think Star Action Figures are still in stock, so I grabbed it on Star Action Figures. Yeah,
so of course it's gone up for pre-order now, and to nobody's surprise, you can't see because my little logo's in the way, but it has sold out on both the UK Pulse and the US Pulse. Now, remember, that's not the only place you can buy your Marvel Legends, so don't panic. But you can see down there at the bottom of the screen, it says sold out. Now,
it's sold out in quite a few places, though. Yeah, in Demand and Amazon too over here as well. So I think Star Action had it in yesterday. That's what I got it. So check out Star Action Figures if you're looking for it.
Yeah, let's have a little look on Star Action Figures. Let's see if it's still in stock. Star Action Figures. Let's have a little look. Little scroll. Star Action Figures with the updated logo, by the way. Really like it. Yeah, it's still in stock. There you go. It's still in stock right now, Star Action Figures, if you want to get it. And Star Action get all their stock direct from Pulse anyway, so you'll get it about the same time, sometimes earlier than Pulse, maybe.
I don't think they get it direct from Pulse. Don't say that. You're on a list, you will.
Hasbro.
From Hasbro, yeah. They don't like Pulse.
True. Pulse and Hasbro, different entities. Yes. Okay, but you know what I mean. They get it direct from Hasbro, so you're good. You're safe getting it with Star Action Figures, that's for sure. But yeah, pretty promotional pictures. They revealed what that bloody stand was all about. We all hoped it was Rachel, but it's not. It was a flaming stand so we could do a wheelie. Are you going to be popping them in a wheelie for your display?
No.
No. Okay, so it was a waste. We didn't even need that accessory after
It
all
was
of
a
that.
waste. Should have been used on Rachel. That's what they should have done.
4 months of speculating away, and it's just going to be sat in a box, and Rich isn't even going to use it. Just for the principle, I'm going to display it. Just for all that hype that it gave us. Right, so there's that. And then this isn't really news, but it is Marvel Legends related. So Dan Yoon likes to keep in constant update with the community, which I do always appreciate. And after the hype of X-Men 97, everybody, including me and Rich, have been excited to see what a potential Wave 3 could be. Of course, we're repping Beast and Jubilee. The ladies are still there in the background. And there are still other members. Rich is basically the Kevin Feige of the X-Men 97 universe. But we have been clamouring that there are, of course, Morph, Sunfire, and now we're like mostly over halfway through the season now. We've got how many left? We've got 2 left, right? It's part of a 3-parter.
Two more to go,
cool.
Yeah.
So 2 more episodes left. So we're nearly at the end. So no spoilers from us, of course. But once the show is over, we will have a spoilerific stream where we can talk about the potential of what a Wave 3 could look like. But this is the bad news. He says, Marvel Legends fans, I love X-Men 97. Our team loves X-Men. Setting expectations, though, we aren't going to have a Wave 3 this year. We are in the trenches with 2025 and 2026 development. Thank you for the passion and your patience. Can't wait to see more episodes and maybe more figures. Fingers crossed emoji. So this just backs up what me and Rich sort of speculated on the channel anyway, if you have been watching. The show was delayed. It was meant to come out last year. So in our mind, the show got delayed and we got 2 waves very closely in close proximity. But the reality is they probably delayed wave 1 and pulled it back so it would release closer to the new date. And I still think it ended up releasing before the show came out, didn't it, wave 1? So it seemed like we got wave 1 and wave 2 very quickly, but the reality is one was probably a 2023 wave and one was probably a 2024 wave. And again, we don't know that for fact. This is just us speculating our best guess. So yeah, we sort of didn't think there would be one planned this year. If we do see any X-Men 97 figures, it will be like digital renders or something revealing that we will be getting them next year, but I don't think we're going to be getting any new ones this year for sure, and Dan's basically confirmed it right there. So sad times though, right, Rich? Because they should have done it. They should have jumped. Well, they should have knew that this show was going to be hot and second guessed it and had product ready to go.
And 100, I'm not going to go after Hasbro so much this time because I think it seems to be everything. So if you look at Funko, if you look at the merchandise, the t-shirts, everything that's been made, everything seems to go up to Nintendo, the 4th episode. They seem to have took like stuff from that. And Nightcrawler, I suppose, me and Rob talked on this, Nightcrawler, I suppose, is after that, but he does morphs into him in one of those episodes, so kind of like gives it away. But basically, I don't think they sent all the artists out to everything there was. So I think they only had stuff up till episode 4, so they picked and choose. This is why you got like Goblin Queen, stuff like that. And I think Marvel should have pushed this more. I don't think Marvel thought that this was going to be a bigger hit as it was.
Yeah.
It seems to be like everywhere. There's just not that much X-Men 97 merchandise when online is like, it seems to be everyone wants everything X-Men 97. Like Rogue and Wolverine from the first series have sold out. They hadn't sold out when the series debuted. They were still available to get. And like now you can't get a Rogue or Wolverine for like less than like 40, 50 quid.
Yep.
So it seems a shame that it's not planning. I think like saying maybe more figures, they should just have said there will definitely be a Wave 3 next year. I think that would like maybe please people a bit more. Because like with the assets they have got, I mean, no spoilers, but I mean in all the promos and stuff like that, Jubilee, Morph, Beast, and Sunspot, at least those are 4 characters that were there. Yep. There was a villain who was like, I mean, if you haven't watched anything, you would know, but there was one villain who was in all the promotional material, so you could have done him, and you could have done like a civilian Wolverine or something for a 3rd wave. But I'm guessing like the What If figures seem to be everywhere still. If you go in a game, you can probably buy every single What If figure already released for like 8 quid in the UK.
Yeah.
So maybe they didn't think that it was going to be the home run that it has been. But I definitely think there's room for a lot more waves. And I hope the next year and the year after is X-Men heavy, not just on X-Men 97, but obviously Deadpool, Wolverine going into the MCU. I think is a good time to be an X-Men fan. Hopefully, if Marvel push the stuff out there. And there doesn't seem to be like anything, not anything bad. Obviously, someone doesn't like something. But the general consensus seems to be that the series is good and X-Men It's like back in the zeitgeist again. So it's definitely something I think they should be pushing a bit more.
Absolutely, I've literally only seen positive. Like as you said, I'm sure if you dig deep enough, there's negative stuff out there, but the general consensus does seem to be very positive. The show is better than what people expected it to be. It's definitely more driven towards an adult audience now because it's on Disney Plus and not like on TV. They're less limited to how they were in the 90s of what they can and can't show. Like, just think even like something as simple as blood can be now seen on screen, where you never seen Wolverine slashing blood coming out of people in the 90s. So just simple tweaks like that make it more appealing, and even the story's just so good as well. So yeah, again, I only tease. I don't think this is a Hasbro issue. I think Hasbro get given assets and they do what they can, but hopefully Hasbro are knocking on Marvel's door now going, hello, can we make more figures please, because they are sort of should understand from we want more. We want to finish the team. Like, where's Jimmy Boy? There's that image we've got of the X-Men teams that we just haven't completed. Those core 8 X-Men characters in the Jim Lee costumes in the same Marvel Legends format. Yes, of course you can build the team in Marvel Legends, but if you're keeping them mint on card, we have never had the same format release of all those Jim Lee characters. We've got close, but we're not there yet. So I don't think they're going to go back to orange cards anytime soon, but maybe they will. The year is still young.
And from like people in the chat saying like wave three in quotation marks, like that's not saying that there couldn't be a single card release. Like there are leak lists out there with Professor X, or could it be an X-Men
Yeah.
97 Professor X? And like Dan has said, there is still a Wolverine to come. Could it be like a civilian Wolverine? Like there's obviously more stuff out there. That could be a good convention exclusive.
Yep,
Like the
absolutely.
Mondo figure was a convention exclusive on the bed, wasn't it, first of all?
Yep.
So you could do like a civilian Wolverine, make it like STC exclusive this year. That would sell a lot. That would be like the evil Ryu of this year.
Yeah, honestly, I just think it's just. I hope they know, and I think Dan posting this tweet must mean he must get this messages and inboxes and tweets all day long. So he's well aware. So I'm sure they
I mean,
understand the
at
message.
least he was upfront and honest. He could
Of
have just
course,
like he could have spun it some other way. So at least he just said like, look, there isn't going to be a wave three this year.
I appreciate the clarity. I really do. But
Yeah,
like you said, if they just say no, there will be a wave free, but you're going to have to wait till next year. I think that's a better message, because
yeah.
now instead of people getting disappointed that there's not going to be or we ain't going to get any more, you twist the narrative, and the narrative is now a positive where, yeah, we might not get them soon, but at least we're getting them, and then you can get excited about them. So, but again, I'm sure there's lots of logistical loops they have to jump through before they can say stuff like
I
that, but they should.
I think before the end of this year we'll see some kind of X-Men. Like we'll have more of a like plan of what the wave is going to be next year. I think it'll be out like early next year if it comes. So I definitely think before the end of the year we'll see like renders or something. I don't think they're going to go all year without revealing
Of
anything from
course,
X-Men
I
97.
agree. And like here's the two waves on screen right now. And like Rich said, good luck trying to get Wolverine for like less than triple the price he was at retail. Thankfully, Rich was good to me on my birthday. Otherwise, I would probably not have a Wolverine right now.
I know it should have kept
I
that,
know,
shouldn't
yeah.
it?
Honestly, I appreciate that. Just his birthday present that just went up in value every month. So yeah, Gambit was hard to get for a while. Rogue is really hard to get now. Rogue is always a popular figure though, as core. Any previous release of Rogue has always went up on the aftermarket, so it doesn't take a genius to sort of follow that sort of pattern. But anyway, there's the 12 figures that we have so far. Great lineup, but they need to complete the team, at least for me. Where's Beast? Come on now. Where's Beast and Jubilee? At least. Right. Let's continue with some actual Marvel Legend 85th anniversary talk then, shall we? Let me close some of my tabs so my computer doesn't crash and we can get into this properly. So we are going to start off with the 70s. Now, me and Rich were not around in the 70s, but comics were, and that's what we're going to dive into right now. Railties, I can see you super chat. Thank you so much. I'm going to wait for Friday to read it out. We've not tested it yet today, so Friday, hello, are you there? I'm sure she will. Oh, by the way, I was wanting to do this joke at the start of the stream, but
It's gonna be me.
We're now in May.
It's gonna be
Oh
me.
God, it's gonna be May.
Yeah, that's the sound clip I'm playing in the background, so you can't hear it on the Zoom call, but the chat did. I'm sure it's hilarious. I should have done it at the start of the stream. Never mind. But she was on my table, so now I got my use out of her now. Mini Pasta Vault with us. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope everyone's good. Yes, we are good. We are good. Right, I'm ready to go, Rich. So we are doing this the same way we did it last week. We are going to talk about 4 figures within that particular decade, and then we are going to let the live audience vote on what they think should be the figure made from that particular decade. All right, so I'll wait to reveal all 4 figures before I start the poll, but hopefully you are here live right now. If you're in the replay crew, you can still get involved and let us know your picks in the comments after the fact, but I will hopefully show it on the screen as we're chatting away. So let's get into that right now. So celebrating Marvel 85 years, and just before we start, there's that super chat. Thank you very much, Ray Ortiz.
Ray Ortiz donated $9.99. All I want is a dark Wolverine Draken.
Ray says, all I want is a dark Wolverine Draken. That could be the next Wolverine that Dan Yoon is referring to. We know we're going to get at least one more before the year is out. And it's been a while. It's been over a decade since we've had one in the Marvel Legends form. So he is worthy of a redo, that is for sure. I think people would be fine with that. Technically, it's a different character and not just the regular Wolverine. So people couldn't complain it's another Wolverine, even though it sort of is, but it's not, sort of. Anyway, let's get into it.
I'd be up for that. I'd be a good figure. I like all the Dark Avengers could do with a redo. So yeah, do them all.
Yeah, let's do it. What's Tom saying? I was one and a bit by the end of the 70s. Does that qualify me as an expert? Yes, it was. If your parents were reading you Marvel comics to go to bed or whatever as a young little baby, then I'm sure you absorbed all that Marvel knowledge, and that will make you the expert. But let's get into this, and we're starting off with one that I'm sure Marvel fans will be familiar with, but it is Man-Thing. So, again, it doesn't take a genius. We're not naive. He is on some of those rumoured leak lists out there to potentially be getting a new Man-Thing this year. But thanks to his debut now in the MCU with last year's or the year before's appearance in Werewolf by Night, we've had the black and white version and the colour version now. We don't know if that Marvel legend that's up and coming is going to be comic, is going to be MCU. Is it just a straight up re-release of the 2017 Build-A-Figure from that Netflix wave, which, let's be honest, is pretty sought after on the aftermarket because it had characters like Daredevil and Punisher. I think it had one of the Bullseyes back in the day as well. So that Build-A-Figure wave is sought after. So I do think people wouldn't be mad at Man-Thing getting a re-release. But yeah, 70s debut there, Rich, right?
Yeah, so everyone needs some Ted in their life. So Man-Thing debuted in 1971 in Savage Tales issue 1. Roy Thomas, Jerry Conway, and someone else, Gray Morrow, I think it was, the third guy. But yeah, like a great character. And a lot of people say, oh, he's like a Swamp Thing rip-off, but he did debut before Swamp Thing.
I was about to say,
technically, Swamp Thing is the rip-off of Man-Thing.
Ted, right? His name? Ted?
Ted, yeah. That is it. Yeah. That is Dr. Theodore Salis. Ted, for short. But yeah, he was like a scientist. He kind of like, so basically Mockingbird is involved in his origin, and Bobby Morse when she was a doctor, and they were like trying to like recreate like the super serum to like inject themselves to make more superhumans. But he injected himself, ended up in a mystical swamp, and then became the Man-Thing. And he kind of like lost his mind. He's kind of like this like sentient being of the earth now. Like it becomes like this thing with like he has the
create portals or something. I swear.
Yeah, so he becomes the swamp becomes the nexus of all realities. He becomes like the guardian and the nexus of all realities.
Thing through the realities. Yeah. I know it got cosmic-y and confusing.
It's a lot of mystical. He's like, I mean, like again, Bobby Morse was in it. Like he was with Jennifer Kale for a long time. Howard the Duck became a companion of him. Like I remember, like in Generation X, he teams up with Franklin Richards, Artie, and Leech, and this alien called Tannen Isle, and Howard the Duck, and then they go on this adventure. It's Daydreamers, a 4-issue miniseries. It's a bit bonkers. It's like you can go to like the Wizard of Oz land. It's all like it's Franklin after like Onslaught. So all his parents have gone to like the Heroes Reborn universe, and then he teams up with them. And again, he showed up in Thunderbolts. Satana was kind of like his companion there as well.
That's where I've displayed. So the builder figure, by the way, is really nice. Like, I do think it's a decent builder figure. Goes for a pretty penny on the aftermarket as well. And that's where I've got mine displayed, as you said that. I've got mine with the Thunderbolts. So we've got like one of the versions of the Beatles, Luke Cage. One of the versions of the Beatles. I ain't got Paul McCartney on my shelf.
You haven't got Paul McCartney.
But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. One of the mech Beatles. I can't remember which version it is. But yes, Thunderbolts is a good shout. I was going to grab him, but he's like one of those figures at the back, and if I grab him, I'll knock him all over, so I'm not going to do it. But do you have the builder figure?
I do have the builder figure, but I did sell it because it was going for a lot of money.
Look,
so I would
clever.
be, well, if it's a re-release, I would be up for it. If it's a brand new version, that would be even better. Even if it's an MCU version, if you haven't watched Werewolf by Night, Ted plays a big part in that. And I mean, his look tends to look the same.
It is similar, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
so
would you prefer, comic or MCU?
Again, I wouldn't mind either way because I think you can fudge it in whichever one you do. I mean, if it was black and white, then that's going to be a problem.
I don't want a black and white figure. We never got black and white.
Do both though, black and white color.
That's a McFarlane trick. That is. That's a Todd McFarlane sketch version or whatever. Like, we don't want that. We don't want to bring that into the Marvel Legends. The next up, we'll be getting characters just looking slightly to the left and having an exclusive re-release or something. Like, no, we don't want a black and white version.
You need to go back one first because you've missed the first one.
Oh, did I? Did I get too excited? Okay, cool. We'll
got too excited.
Right, okay, so Man-Thing's the first choice. The first one, Valkyrie.
Valkyrie, yeah. So this was our first pick for the 70s. So Valkyrie shows up in 1972 in Defenders issue 4. So as well as being like a Thor character, she also represents the Defenders, who are from the 70s. The Defenders run is one of my favorite teams because it's kind of like a mismatch of heroes. You've got Hulk, Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, Namor, and then like Valkyrie joins the team as well. So you're kind of like representing all the different areas of the Marvel universe, with like Namor being like under the sea in Atlantis and a mutant. Then you've got Doctor Strange, mystical, Silver Surfer, cosmic, Hulk, like this gamma radiated thing, and then Valkyrie representing the Asgardians. So it's like a hodgepodge of teams. They don't like each other as much. But Valkyrie was always like consistent throughout the run. She was always part of the Defenders. It was a great run in the early 2010s. Fearless Defenders, where it was like an all-female team that Valkyrie read. 100% recommend that series. It's not many issues. I think it was like 10 issues or so, but a really great series. There's a lot of development for Valkyrie. And the Brunhild version of Valkyrie is just a great version. Like, put her on her horse Aragon, that would be amazing as well, her flying Pegasus. Just a great looking character. And I think the Valkyrie figures that we've had have been pretty shit. Like, she's definitely in need of an update.
Yeah, we had a Valkyrie figure, again, probably, I think it was 2016's Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure wave, I think. And they were like really tall, like really massive female Marvel Legends at the time. And I think I sold her a good while ago. And then it was one of those I was always annoyed about as I started to build out my Asgardian collection. But we know it's heavily rumoured we are going to get an Odin in this sort of 85th anniversary wave. It has been sort of leaked via Amazon's descriptions. And we have seen the boot. Remember seeing that boot? What a day that was. That boot went around. Everyone was well excited. So possibly we are getting another Asgardian to add to the shelf. And Valkyrie will be a great shout. We've always been, well, I say we, mainly me, I've been pitching, instead of a Riders wave, you do like an animal sort of wave. So you can do Valkyrie and her Pegasus as one. You can do Crystal and Lockjaw as another. Goose Rider for Jamie. I'm sure he'd appreciate that shout out. But yeah, Valkyrie will be a great shout. So Valkyrie and Man-Thing so far from the 70s, two great picks, I think. And this one I have been clamoring for. And if you've been watching my reviews and I get to the comparison segment, I've been talking about this guy. It's the Punisher. Now, I know what you're thinking, Dan. We've got a lot of Marvel Legend Punishers. Yes, we have. But do any of them really hold up to the standards that we now hold Marvel Legends to when it comes to pinless tech, double jointed articulation with the butterfly joint, so you can actually get the guy known for wielding weaponry to actually hold his weaponry accurately? Very frustrating. You always get these massive guns for Punisher and you just have to awkwardly pose him on the shelf. And it is his anniversary this year. It is also Punisher's 50th anniversary. And I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories of if they can or can't do them. I don't know any of that. But what I do know, I want the comic character of the Punisher in that sort of deluxe treatment. Do you know the same way we got Black Widow last year in her upgraded form, pinless, with all the articulation, lots of accessories. That's what I want, but for Punisher. I want a brand new Punisher with the updated articulation, the pinless joints, multiple head sculpts, beaten up heads and just angry faces, a screaming expression as well, with lots of weapons, different hands. Give me an updated Punisher in his anniversary. Frank Castle's worthy of it. We've got a lot of Marvel Legends, but they could be doing with an upgrade. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong, Dan. I think a Punisher would be a great shout. Like updated, do everything like that would be great. Again, like Punisher, we have had a lot of Punisher figures, but if anything, this 85th anniversary, everything's a re-release so far. Everything's an update. So why not chuck Punisher in there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, and I don't mind. I know some people like just to get a character on their shelf and then they don't like to see that character re-released. Where I've always had the mindset of I want the best representation of that character in figure form on my shelf. So, of course, it's annoying for the wallet when you've already got the character on your shelf and then they re-release an upgrade. But that's just part of the collecting game by now. If you've been collecting for a while, you just accept it for what it is. So, yes, I've got plenty of Punishers on my shelf. I've got one riding a bike. I've got one with some, like, bullets or whatever around him. But give me a classic Punisher. We have had a couple. We've had one on the grey retro card in that first grey card line for the Avengers. But I want that original classic look, but with all the bells and whistles, weapons, interchangeable heads, pinless tech, and butterfly joints. We've just got that new Luke Cage on that bigger, bulkier body with the butterfly joints. Let's have a Punisher, because I don't think any of our Punishers so far have butterfly joints. So you cannot get any of our current Marvel Legend Punishers to just hold a weapon properly. So again, tiny nitpick, but I do think the community would appreciate it. So debuted in the 70s. So Punisher is our third pick for the 70s. Now on to our fourth and final pick for this decade. Another popular one. It's Banshee Rich. Why this? Well, we've already got Banshee Rich. Why this?
We have, and calm down Rush McGowan, because he's going to be like, Rush is going to be like, Banshee debuted in 1967. I know. He did debut in 67. But this is giant-sized Banshee from the 70s, because if there's one thing the 70s gave us, it was the vitalization of the X-Men as we know it now. Like giant-sized X-Men issue 1 in 1975. Like everything the X-Men is, all the soap operas, or the all new, all different team, like Storm, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Thunderbird, and Banshee all joining it. And I think everyone else from that giant size issue we've kind of got in some kind of updated representation. Like Storm, we had a great Storm figure. We've had Thunderbird, we've had Sunfire, we've had Wolverine, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. But if you want a Green Banshee, you've got to go back to the dark days of Hasbro, that horrible looking figure. I think Dwight's one of Dwight's first figures, wasn't it?
First ever figure, he says, yes.
Yeah, and what a shit figure that was. So it definitely in need of an update. And Banshee, if anything, for an 85th anniversary, celebrate the X-Men, Banshee would be the figure that I would put in there.
Just think at some point they sat down and looked at that Banshee and went, this is great. This is a great figure. Most of the Toy Biz figures now you look at and you just think, how did this even get made? But back in the day, they'd make those figures and go, do you know what? We've done a good job giving each other. Remember that terrible Rogue face, or that what's it, Emma Frost face in the dark days of Hasbro? At some point, people were high-fiving each other about how good these figures were, and now I wouldn't even pay for them at a car boot. But this design, Dwight Stoll has publicly said that he's not going to release this version of Banshee until he's ready to leave the Legends team. He said this will be his first and last figure. So I hope he's lying, because I want this version of Banshee. We've got the Uncanny version, like Rich said, but I do think this is the version of Banshee people would most want and desire in their collection.
I don't think they could probably do it because of reasons, but get with a little smoking pipe as well. That would be amazing. That would be
good. Yeah. They could just pretend it's bubble pipe. That's all they need to do.
A bubble pipe.
Yeah.
That's all they could
if
do.
any of those people are checking and going, hang on a minute, he's got a pipe, they can go, whoa, it's a bubble pipe, right? Let it slide. Let it slide. But I'd be right in saying I think the figure we've got of Banshee in those Uncanny X-Men 3-packs was a decent figure. I liked it. It was pinless joints, etc. The head sculpts were really nice. We got 2, I think, didn't we, as well? We got a Screaming and a regular one. So, again, just give me a repaint of that. I'd be happy with a repaint of that in this look. So that's a good shout for sure. But all 4 of these I would like upgrades or new versions of in my collection. So The vote is yours, people. The vote is yours. It is now live in the chat. Which of these 70s characters would you like to see most in Marvel Legends form? Now, technically, we do already have a Marvel Legends representation of Valkyrie, Man-Thing, the Punisher, and Banshee. But since, like Rich alluded to, most of the figures in this Marvel 85th anniversary lineup are just upgrades to characters and figures we have previously had. So it's fair game. Absolutely fair game. Of course, they have come on bound with female Marvel Legends, especially with the bigger books as well. I'm thinking of that recent She-Hulk body, completely pinless. You could use that for Valkyrie, just add in a few bits and pieces. The Man-Thing, I assume we're just going to get a straight up re-release of the Builder figure, which again, people would appreciate if they missed out, but an upgrade wouldn't go amiss. Banshee, again, just re-release the one you've got in the different colours. It's good, it's decent, but this is the version people want. And then it's the Punisher, one of my favourite Marvel characters, just because there's no messing around with this guy, right? He's like the Dexter of the Marvel universe. He just takes out the bad guys, even though he's a bit of a murderer himself, let's be honest. But he still takes out the bad guys. But Rich, out of these four, who would be your preference? If Marvel said, right, one of these we will upgrade, Rich, we will upgrade and re-release, which one's it going to be for you?
Do you know what? I'm going to be Sweden with this one and sit on the fence because I would be happy with any of the four. This is one of the few categories that anyone. Obviously, I like the X-Men, so Banshee would be good. But I think they're going to get to Banshee eventually. So again, maybe one of the other three I would favor because I think Banshee is going to come at some point. I think Valkyrie and Punisher are probably not on the cards, but they should be. They should be on the cards.
Agreed.
I would buy both.
Agreed. Kevin in the chat says, can I vote for all four, please? So you're not the only one, Rich. There are other people in that same situation. But let me get the live chat up for anyone on the replay crew to see how the live audience have voted. So, heavy favourite is the Punisher, which I knew it would be. I've been talking about it at the end of the reviews I've been doing this year. I've been throwing in a Punisher occasionally and saying, I would like an updated Punisher. Again, just putting it out there into the zeitgeist, and the community, at least the ones that are watching this channel, agree with me. 45% would like an updated Punisher. Again, it is his anniversary this year. Marvel do like celebrating anniversaries, but is the Punisher surrounded with controversy? Maybe, but that's a topic for a different day and a different conversation. But in regards to a Marvel Legends, I would like an upgrade. In second place is Banshee, the giant-sized Banshee with 22%. Close followed behind in third with Valkyrie, and then Man-Thing with only 15% of the vote. So I'm going to end the poll there. So we've already had over 50 votes. I like to end it about 50, usually half the viewership. And yeah, the Punisher states it. So the Punisher is our early victor for this round of the 70s. So there we go. Celebrating his anniversary, he takes the poll. So I'll just take a note of that. Punisher is our third winner. And if you did miss last week's show, now, I won't give away the spoiler. Go and watch last week's show on the replay crew, all right? At the end of the stream, we will have one overall winner of the most wanted Marvel Legend release or new character within these particular decades. So let's move on into the 80s. And do you know what, Rich? The 80s were a great year. Do you know why, Rich?
That decade you were born, Dan, who?
We were both born in the 80s, Rich.
Yeah.
We were both born in the 80s. What's that Karen Harris song? Born in the 80s? That's definitely a song you made, right? Anyway.
Acceptable in the 80s.
There you go. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, yeah, 80s. What a great year, people. What a great year. So, like Tom said earlier, he was like 1.5. Well, I was born in 88. So, I'm not going to lie to you. I was not reading Marvel Comics in the 80s. Or was my dad. My dad was like a guy in the army. He was one of those. He thought he was too cool for comic books, riding motorbikes, I think, or something like that. So, unfortunately, my dad did not introduce me to comic books. I had to discover that all on my own via the medium of TV and cartoon, thankfully. I also couldn't read, so my parents never took me to bookshops or comic shops. That's why I love toys. But anyway, enough about my traumatic childhood. Let's get into it with our first pick. My childhood was fine, by the way. I'm only joking. Right, Rich, you said you love X-Men. Do you like the New Mutants, and do you like Sunspot?
So yeah, so the thing about the 80s and the 90s is that's like my period of Marvel. Like I started reading in the late 80s and then into the 90s. 90s was like peak era for me, but a lot of like in the UK we were behind with our comic books. So there was a lot of 80s stuff coming through. So 80s and 90s, basically I could have filled this as just for the X-Men characters, but I tried not to, and I've tried to be like kept it to like the best characters it could be. So obviously being in X-Men 97, Sunspot is there. And like I thought, but we've got to work into the comic book, so I put this one in. Now, this is kind of like it works in more ways than one, but this is Sunspot in his classic New Mutants costume. Again, we've had Sunspot figures before, but it was in his X-Force look, in his red and blue costume.
Yep.
So this is Sunspot in his original look when he debuted in New Mutants in Marvel graphic novel #4, The New Mutants in 1982. It's in his flamed on version, his blackout version, because like Sunspot turns like all black, like as if he's part of the sun with like the heat and the sunspot, like a sunspot, but it's
Like
like
a
all
sunspot,
the
yeah.
like the sun's rays like shooting off him. But this would be good. And again, like you said, he's in X-Men 97. It would be great. The boys haven't had much love in the New Mutants. Like we had the 2000 run of New Mutants. We had that 3-pack of Danny Moonstar,
Karma.
Wolfsbane, and Karma, who were like the original New Mutants along with Sunspot and Cannonball. So technically, I mean, with this costume, you could put a Cannonball head in with it as well, like a more traditional Sam Guthrie head. And then you've got 2 in 1 as well. I'd put a blacked out Sunspot head as well. You can do both of that all in one.
I think they could genuinely. They have, by the way, talked about the potential of making a New Mutants pack for the males similar to that Danny Moonstar. But Ryan Ting's publicly said they tried to think of a way to do that. I think they, considering we've had a couple of Cannonballs already, do you know, with the interchangeable waist, if they had made a character in this costume or a figure in this costume, but the waist comes apart, you could use some of those Cannonball effects that we've already got, and all they needed to do was give us the interchangeable head, or maybe they don't even need to give the head. They just need to let us know that, oh, by the way, you can take the waist off if you have a Cannonball, but you would only need to give him the blackout head because his uniform's covering the rest of his body, right?
Yeah, because like in modern day, like he turns all like his whole body turns black, which is what happens in X-Men 97 as well. But obviously with this, like most of his costume is black and yellow anyway, so you can like you might need to do like hands as well. You could do and like the removable cuffs, but otherwise it would work well.
Yeah, Sunspot. Yeah, New Mutants need some love. Slowly been building out that team in Marvel Legends form. Of course, we're only just getting Wolfsbane in this year, in this next wave that we're due, the next Build-A-Figure wave, we're getting Wolfsbane. And also another Build-A-Figure that's highly desired on the aftermarket. Shout out Eric Fox has become a channel member, the Who Crew Deluxe tier. Thank you very much, Eric. You can come and join us on the after show today for the Who Crew Deluxe. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hopefully you're watching live. If you are, let us know in the chat. But yeah, another Build-A-Figure is the Warlock Build-A-Figure. Goes for a pretty penny on the aftermarket. Another one that's hard to track down because that had characters like the original Jim Lee Cyclops in it and stuff. So yeah, I think
it was last year, the year before. Now I rebought.
You were trying,
I sold mine. I had to get it. It took me a better part of 10 months to get all parts, didn't it? So
yeah, absolutely. Not easy one to get. So I'm sure that's on the docket for a re-release at some point. But let's get some more of the New Mutants in those classic looks, that's for sure. So there's one pick for the 80s. Next up, Rich. One that we was hoping was going to be happening much sooner than it seems to be. Because right now, we have no idea if this is even happening at all. But a couple of years ago, I had the privilege to reveal Captain Britain on my channel. At that point, we had no idea what he was going to be a part of. We all hoped and wished it would be some sort of Excalibur pack. And it was, sort of, but it wasn't a 5-pack, it was a 3-pack.
It was 2-pack, yeah.
It was Rich says that because he ignores one of the characters in it. It was his worst nemesis, of course, Kitty Pryde.
Don't say your name 3 times, Dan, or they'll do the Astonishing X-Men version. Just don't say it.
That's true. That's probably on the horizon too, unfortunately. Who was the other one? Why am I forgetting? Why am I going blank? Megan, there she is. Yeah, she's on the shelf behind me with that massive hair and her toes are out, so she hardly stands. But I think I've got her leaning against someone on my shelf anyway. So anyway, yeah, the 3-pack ended up being a little bit undesirable, but if you had a Nightcrawler in your shelf, then you knew you were already one step closer. But Rachel was the big glaring gap, and then at the end of last year, they gave us that little flame accessory effect, and a lot of us, I think we were just hoping, Rich. I think all of us knew deep down that flame effect wasn't going to be for Rachel. I think our hearts knew that, but I think our heads knew that, but our heart wanted it to be Rachel. It turned out it wasn't. So Rachel so far is not happening, but we need her to complete Excalibur. At least I do. In this Hound look, I would want her in this particular look.
Yeah.
And are you on the same page as me? Where do you lie with Rachel Summers?
Yeah, 100%. So like Rachel debuts in 1981, but this is obviously her Excalibur look
Excalibur. Yes.
from like the Hound as Ahab's Hound, and then she like joins Excalibur. In Excalibur, the sword is drawn. It's like a one shot in 1987, and then obviously they go into their own series. Obviously, the future daughter of Scott Summers and Jean Grey, and Phoenix. She's one of the Phoenix Bears. Like when I read comic books, she was the first Phoenix that I encountered before we even knew who
Ah.
Jean Grey was in the Dark Phoenix saga. I saw Rachel as Phoenix, and then went back and read. I think I read it. I read the Dark Phoenix saga first, and then read the Phoenix saga. So I read it all backwards. So Rachel was the first Phoenix I knew. Like in the 80s, 90s, she was Phoenix. That was her code name
Yeah, she
in
still can be referred to
Excalibur.
as Phoenix too.
Yeah, she's had some terrible, terrible code names over the years. Like so, she's been Rachel Gray, Rachel Summers. Prestige was a terrible name. So yeah, but Rachel Summers, I think,
Marvel
is
Girl as well. Do they call her Marvel Girl as
Marvel
well?
Girl. She was
Yeah.
for a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
After her mother, she we even wore like the costume similar
Yeah.
to her in like Chris Claremont when he came back onto the X-Men. But yeah, a great character. But this would be the one I want: Hound costume Rachel with like a flamed on head with the glowing eyes, and then like a more traditional with the like red mullet hair as well.
Did you
Two
ever,
looks for
did you
her.
ever notice that Marvel Girl's dress looks very similar to Marge Simpson? Just saying, just putting that out there, all right? Similar. Let me read some of these super chats. Craig's Nostalgic Collection says, off to a strong start, guys. Banshee is a hard hit for me. Giant Size X-Men was, in capital letters, my favourite X-team, alongside the Jim Lee's X-Men. Also, definitely need a new Punisher with the butterfly joints. Pow! Thank you very much, Craig's Nostalgic Collection. Say it with me, people. Don't forget the dots. Also, Eric, who just become a channel member, said, hello, everyone. He is watching from work. So I hope you're not working too hard, Eric, but hopefully we can keep you distracted on this Thursday afternoon. A few people talking about Kitty Pryde in the chat, but I'll ignore them, Rich, for you, of course. And let's move on to our third pick in the 80s.
That's next year's anniversary
Yeah,
for the summer, isn't it? Summer of Kitty Pryde.
10 Kitty Prydes. Right. This is one people want, and this is one that could be very relevant to this year, because not only are Marvel celebrating their 85 years, a story known as Secret Wars is also celebrating its very own 40th anniversary. And the Beyonder may have been a big part of that. One that we have never had, ever, in Marvel Legends form, in any scale that I can remember. I don't even think Toy Biz did him, or even Mattel did him in the original line. I don't think he was in.
Mini-Mates probably have.
Mini-Mates, shout out Rob on the replay. Let us know, Rob, if there is a Mini-Mates. I'm sure there is. But yes, this has to be on the Marvel Legend radar as a character not only relevant to Secret Wars in the year we celebrate its anniversary, but also just a Marvel character we haven't had in figure form yet. As you know, I love world building, love adding new characters, and I think the costume design is doable in Marvel Legends form, absolutely. So Beyond the Rich is one we need, one we want, right?
Yeah, and I think like from 80s point of view, like Secret Wars was the first like big limited series that brought all different characters from all over the Marvel universe together and put it. The first Secret Wars, not gonna lie, the Beyonder doesn't really have that much of a presence because like they kind of like steal his powers, Molecule Man's evolved, and then even Doctor Doom gets his powers for a bit. He's kind of like more in the background of that, like you just see like his glowing eyes. He's like this omnipotent being behind everything. Like he creates Battle World, but he's kind of not involved in the main plot. But then it's in Secret Wars 2, that's where he takes like a much more prominent role into the Marvel universe. And obviously he's got this one. This is like his armored costume look. And then he's got his more like disco suit kind of look, like his more traditional one.
I like the sound of that.
So both would be good, but I just think this one would look better in action figure form than a guy in a disco dancing suit.
This would be my mind's eye of Beyonder for whatever reason, maybe just because of this generic image that you see online. I don't know. But yeah, this would be the version I want in the shelf. And like you said, even though he may have been just a background presence of Secret Wars, he's still mentioned in it throughout. And
yeah,
I would still put him in it. If I was building a Secret Wars display, a character like him would be a center of that for sure.
And I mean, like Secret Wars is more than just that original miniseries. Like the Secret Wars 2, there's the updated Hickman Secret Wars, which like
a 2015 version as well, right? Yeah. That's the one where Miles came in and Reed Richards had to rebuild. Yeah, because I started to. That was when I was like heavily buying comics. And then I had to decide, do I buy toys or comics? Because comics were just getting more expensive.
Both, Dan, both.
I know, I tried. I did try for a good while, to be fair. But yeah, that's the second Secret Wars. You're right, for sure. So there you go. That's our third pick for the 80s. Sunspot, Rachel Summers, The Beyonder. But we've got one more. UK repping, it's Death's Head. Now, we have had Death's Head before in Marvel Legends form, but we have had, if you remember, Death's Head 2. It was part of one of the Guardians of the Galaxy Build-A-Figure waves, if I remember correctly, right? Was it the Titus one?
I think it was the Mantis
Could
wave,
be,
wasn't it?
could be one of them. They were both Guardians wave for sure, so it was one of those. But it was Death's Head 2. And the character, I think he debuted in it was Marvel UK for sure, UK rep, and that's why I say that. But was it anything to do with Transformers or something like that, maybe? I swear he's had a crossover like that.
It was in the UK Transformers magazine 113 in 1987 from Simon Furman, one of the best Transformer writers out there, and Jeff Senior. Yeah, just a great character. So when he debuted, Marvel UK at the time did a lot of licensed things, so they did Transformers and they did Doctor Who. And before he interacts with the Marvel characters, he had adventures with Transformers. He was in the TARDIS with Doctor Who.
Of course he was.
And then he met the Fantastic Four. So he's got an array of fandoms that he interacted with. He was this badass robotic bounty hunter.
Yeah, an assassin type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just a cool looking character as well. And again, he fits in with Doctor Who, the Cybermen, those kitschy things. He fits in with the Transformers, being a robot, and he fits in the Marvel universe, being this alien bounty hunter type character. So yeah, he fits in a lot of places. They did Death's Head 2. I always liked the traditional Death's Head more. And like you said, Marvel UK was a big thing, especially for us being in the UK. That was probably most of our first exposure to comic books, was buying those Marvel UK, the NWH Smiths. They used to do the Essential X-Men, those repackaging of X-Men comic books. And then there was Overkill, I think. They did the comic book, kind of Judge Dredd. They had the Death's Head. There was Captain Britain comic book as well for a little bit. And all these great stories with people who would go on to write Marvel comic books, Alan Moore, people like that. Just Alan Davis, who co-created Excalibur then with Chris Claremont. Just great creators.
He's great on the QI, by the way. I really like seeing him on the QI regularly.
Maybe that is that Alan Davis. He's just throwing the comic books on the side.
That's such a UK reference. Only 2 people understood that reference. But no, Death's Head 2. Again, this character design is the one we haven't had in Marvel Legends form with the mallet hand, and he's got plenty of other weaponry you can swap out as well. But he'd be a great figure. Where do you put your Death's Head in your collection? By the way, if you have the previous one.
So my Death's Head is with Union Jack. I've got because there is no one else from Marvel UK really to put him in with. So it's just Union Jack, and then he's there at the back, type of thing.
Yeah, I put mine with my cosmic figures, I think. So mine is mine's standing in my cosmic shelf. Do you know the cosmic bad guys? I know he's not technically super cosmic, but he's definitely got around for sure. Shout out Tanner, who's giving me updated. I think Chelsea are winning 2-0 against his beloved Spurs. Happy days. I think Spurs needs Tottenham need those points more than Chelsea, to be fair. But I take them, Tanner. I'll take them. And shout out Dale, just become a channel member as well at the Who Crew Deluxe tier. So thank you so much, Dale. I appreciate that. Again, if you are a channel member at the Who Crew Deluxe tier, every single week you get a bonus after show after this show. So an extra half an hour of this show where we invite on guests. It's like a mini prelude to Legends and Liquor. I did leave one up public from a couple of weeks ago that you can go back and watch just to get a taste of the nonsense that happens there, but always a good time. And again, just more content if you like talking toys for sure. So the live poll is now happening in the chat. Let's go to it. So I always wait till about 50 votes, and we are nearly there. So which of these 80s characters would you like to see in Marvel Legends form the most? So as the votes go in, you can see we've got Sunspot, Rachel Summers, The Beyonder, and Death's Head. Now, of course, we are heavily rumoured to get some sort of representation of Secret Wars this year in Marvel Legends, whether it be a wave. Again, shout out Rectangular. I'm sure he's going to pop in a minute and shout bingo. But yes, it is heavily rumoured we are going to get a card back Secret Wars wave. The Beyonder would make a lot of sense going there, but Hasbro don't always do the obvious, all right? I'm just saying, so we shall see. Rachel's another one that they know we want to finish with Excalibur. We've talked about getting members of the original New Mutants in the male versions, and then Death's Head is one of those wild cards, but we're UK repping, so there you go. So let us know what you think, what you would like for your own collection. There is no wrong answer. So far, Sunspot is 13%. Rachel Summers seems to be the strong winner here with over 45%. The Beyonder, which I thought the Wanda would win this one. So Rachel is, again, UK repping. I think people's hunger for completing the Excalibur is there for sure. As Rachel has 44%, the Beyonder's got 427, and then Death's Head 2 with only 15% of the vote. So Death's Head's getting more than Sunspot.
Usually in this poll, Rachel would have been my vote, but just with X-Men 97, I really want Sunspot more than Rachel now, because I've got Rachel Summers on my thing in a Marvel Girl costume, but that Sunspot, I would just love it in that costume.
Wouldn't it be annoying though to get Sunspot in that costume and
Yeah.
not have Cannonball in that costume too?
I mean, you could just stick his head. You could grab
Buy a
two,
second,
just
yeah,
put his
I
head on
suppose,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I suppose.
unless the neck was painted, but otherwise you'd be fine.
It still annoys me that Karma's doesn't have a metal leg, because you get an interchangeable head and you don't get the metal leg.
But the metal leg was like late. That was like the Dan Abnett run. Like they did that. Or was it?
I'm sure it was,
Zeb
but that's
Wells?
what my mind wants.
But it was late.
That's the
Yeah,
mind's eye.
it was later. So I don't mind that not having a metal leg.
There you go. So, all right, I'm ending the poll. 75 votes. Rachel Summers is our winner for the 80s. 80s repping. Rachel Summers takes it. So we had the Punisher take it for the 70s, and now Rachel Summers is taking it for the 80s. So again, already we're lining up to have a nice end here, because I don't know if Rachel versus the Punisher, what would it be? But we've still got some more to add. So let's move on over to the 90s. Now, I was born in the 80s, but I'm basically a 90s kid because I was raised in the 90s. Everything I remember is from the 90s. I don't remember any consciousness in the 80s. I was a little baby. My brain wasn't fully developed yet. But I remember the 90s, Rich, very, very well. Fond memories. That's where everything started. That's where my love for Marvel kicked off, due to those animated shows that we love so much that are now getting a reconnaissance on Disney Plus. And if you've seen the last episode, there was a wink and a nod in there as well. You know what I'm talking about. But let's get into these characters from the 90s. First up, Rich, you've gone with the obvious pick. It's a hairy female. We know Rich likes his hairy pussy. It's Feral.
Who doesn't have a hairy pussy, Dad?
Rich's fellas in the building, by the way. He's probably listening to this, going, "What the hell are they talking about?"
Hero's mouth is a gong. A gong.
He was like, "That's something I didn't know about Rich."
So yeah, so Feral from the 90s. I think 90s was when like the X-Men exploded with Jim Lee and like the relaunches of everything.
Rob Liefeld came in, couldn't draw feet, but he was there.
That's it. Well, this is a Liefeld creation,
yeah,
Feral
sure.
there. So you had Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicieza in the New Mutants 1999, Mutants 1999, in Mutants 99 in 1991, and then obviously in X-Force 1, Feral becomes front and center of the new X-Men team. I loved X-Force because they were kind of like badasses. They had Cable leading them. They weren't like kids anymore. They were like late teens, early 20s. They were kind of like a bit more badass, like fighting, strife, the MLF, stuff like that. And Feral, even though she's more or less like Wolfsbane, she is like a Wolfsbane clone, but she was much more violent, much more off the rails than Wolfsbane ever was. Eventually she turns bad. She joins the MLF, and then she even like slashes Siren's throat. Why Siren hasn't got her powers for years is all down to Feral, because she turns on her teammates, turns on the X-Force team. Like she gets her comeuppance in the end with Romulus. He takes her out in Evolution, a terrible comic book, and she comes back as a ghost in X Factor Investigations to haunt Wolfsbane.
Feral.
But yeah, and obviously with Resurrection in the House of X era, she is back in the comic book. She's had like bits of appearance, nothing much to do, but she's a cool character, and she finishes that 90s X-Force. I think for the 90s X-Men era, all the other teams are more or less done. You can say like Revenge for the blue team, but not really. She was never really a member. So the blue team is done, the gold team is done. X Factor will be done soon with that Wolfsbane coming out. Excalibur, if we get that, Rachel Summers will be done as well. And the last missing piece is just Feral for that. To finish that X-Force #1, we just need a Feral figure. Never had a feral figure in the Legends line. Toy Biz did a mail away feral in
Yeah,
a
it's like a toy fair
magazine.
one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but she's 100%, especially with Wolfsbane coming out with Tigra already here. She's the last furry pussy we need apart from Hepzibah.
Hepzibah, of course, yes, Hepzibah.
We do need some Hepzibah, but I've tried to pick the bigger characters in this list, so I think Feral would be much needed.
Yeah, for sure. Again, this is one that the Hasbro team are well aware that we need. Both Feral and Wolfsbane have been on the sort of zeitgeist, on those wish lists for a while. And I did ask the question to Ryan. He said that we would get one team complete at least. And we have already with Wolfsbane in the Zemnu Build-A-Figure wave, or Zabu, sorry, Build-A-Figure wave coming up. But Feral is another one we need. And like Rich just held up that Tigra, between Tigra and the new pieces that we get on Wolfsbane, they've definitely got the tools there to make a Feral and a Hepzibah. Like, there's no reason not to. Wasn't for a long time X Factor #1 like the biggest selling comic. I don't know if it still is, but it was when it originally came out, wasn't it? Like the quickest, fastest, biggest selling comic, that X Factor #1.
I think X-Force #1 sold a lot, but I think
X-Force 1, sorry, that's what I meant.
I think X-Men #1 came along, and I think that might have sold a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Anyway, Feral's a gap in the Marvel Legends line. That is for sure. I have lots of X-Men figures, as I'm sure you guys do as well. And that X-Force team is missing their hairy lady. So yes, Feral would be a good shout in this outfit as well. This is the look I want for Feral, in the sort of pinky purple outfit with her crazy like Lady Frankenstein hair, right? Like that's what it looks like for sure. I'm just laughing at the chat as well because I did not think we would get a Jonathan Creek conversation going off in the chat today, but that's what we get when you bring up Alan Davis. Also, Jay's Toy Collection UK says 80s Venom not on the list. Mike Heck's going to lose his mind. Now, if Mike does watch this, shout out to Mike on the replay. You can say hello in the comments. But the rumours are we may actually be getting another Venom this year. So we're just keeping our mouth shut, all right? Instead, we are choosing to take the conversation elsewhere and speculate elsewhere, all right? But I'm just saying.
There's confusion going on about what everyone is. So, like, easy way to sort this out. Feral's a cat, Wolfsbane's a wolf, Hepzibah is a skunk, a space skunk, right? So that's how to remember it. Skunk, cat, wolf.
All hairy,
right?
though.
Easy.
All very hairy ladies, that is for sure.
Tiger.
I love the fact that they are all arguing in the chat about that. Right, let's keep going. So, Feral's the first choice. Now, we're in the 90s. So, I can't remember who it was. So someone messaged me on Instagram earlier and said that...
Oh, I know. I've had threatening messages of today. Mr. Tanner himself.
Was it Tanner? So, I think it might have been Tanner, yes. Someone said if this guy is not in our list, he is going to kick off. But it is Kane Parker. And like... Marvel Legends love giving us all the variants of Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse and all the accompanying clones and cast. This is a look for Kane Parker we have not had... And I do think it's one that people want, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan. A lot of people, especially our age, some of their favourite comics are that Clone Saga in the 90s and Ben Reilly's and the Kanes, etc. But this is the version that we've never got, right? This particular look we've never got in any figure form ever, I don't think. So yeah, it's one they can do.
This is classic. Like, if you think about the X-Men in the 90s being about like all the splinter teams like X-Force, X-Factor, Generation X, Excalibur... 90s Spider-Man is very much all about clones. Clones everywhere. Clones for days. And we've had Kane before, like you said, in the Scarlet Spider guys, but we haven't had him in his 90s.
In the red, right?
Kane
the zombie. We got the zombie Kane. Yeah.
Yeah, with the spikes come out of his hands, don't they? Yeah. But this Kane Parker is that 90s Clone Saga version. So he's technically the first clone of Peter Parker before Ben Reilly. Jackal creates Kane Parker, who's kind of like a defective Peter Parker clone.
Yeah, he's not zombie virus. That's why you get the zombie head, right? Slowly killing him.
And he's got slightly different powers. He's got like this, like you can see the future a bit more rather than spider sense and stuff like that. But he's a great character. He's a bit of like an anti-hero, and then they kind of like redeem him a bit. He becomes more heroic as it goes on. I think in this look, it is just classic 90s Clone Saga. I mean, put this on a retro card. Why not? It is 90s. You've never in the TV show, but you could put it on this card and people would buy it.
Look, considering we have characters like Webman and Negative Zone Spider-Man on that retro card, I think this Kane Parker would easily do better than they would. That is for sure. So yeah, it was Tanner in the chat. He says, no angry mob. He has called them off. Instead, he's sending them over to Stamford Bridge because Tottenham still seem to be losing. Sad times. Right, let's keep going then. So Kane Parker and Farrell, two great picks from the 90s. And by the way, both of these I'd want in these exact looks as well. Both of them have had different looks in the comics, of course. But these are the two looks that I would pick. They're my mind's eye for these characters. Next up, another one we've had in Marvel Legends form, but not for a while. I've got to take you back to the dark days of Hasbro. I think it was when Hasbro were like Target only for a while. There was like Target only exclusives. Very hard to get in the UK. Maybe Forbidden Planet got some in, but I don't think places like Woolworths did. Probably Woolworths was probably gone by then. I don't know. I'd ask Jay. But anyway, we've had the Nemesis Build-A-Figure, and then since then, we have never had him re-released. One we need, Rich, right? Nemesis.
Yeah, 100%. Because if there's nothing more 90s, Farrell might represent the early 90s X-Men, but then like mid 90s, Age of Apocalypse comes along. And you've got to remember now, so X-Men, the TV show is on. X-Men is big. X-Men is selling. And every single book in the X-Men line, so X-Force, X-Factor, Generation X, Excalibur, Wolverine, Cable, Uncanny, and normal X-Men, all cancelled. Everything is cancelled. And everything is relaunched. There's all these new titles. So you get like Astonishing X-Men, Gambit and the Externals, and a whole new universe is started because Legion, Professor X goes back in time, kills Professor X, and the world is changed forever. And we get the Age of Apocalypse, which was just this big, ballsy, massive crossover running through all the X titles, all interlinked, everything going on. And it's just a great thing. We've obviously had 2 full waves of the Age of Apocalypse, but we didn't get a Nemesis figure, and he's definitely one that could use an update. I think there's a lot they could do with that. Again, there are other characters like Nightcrawler and Gambit we could get, but of everyone from the Age of Apocalypse, I would love another Nemesis. He's a great character. His fight with Blink by Joe Madria in Astonishing X-Men is one of my favorite fight scenes in comic books. I love it a lot. Put him with a new Blink. Update Blink on a pinless body with the proper Joe Mad hair. I would buy that 2-pack in a heartbeat. And next year is the anniversary year of the Age of Apocalypse, so why not put Nemesis in that pack?
Yeah, so we've had 2 Age of Apocalypse waves, like you said. And Age of Apocalypse, if you've been watching this channel for a long time, you know we have a love-hate relationship. When I was a kid, the reason I didn't
I love it, Danny.
Well, no, I don't hate it. I have grew to appreciate it, but like hate's a strong word as well, to be fair. It was just in the 90s, my introduction to all these characters was the cartoon, right? It was the cartoon. So when I actually went to try and, like, 'cause obviously you learn that they're from comics and blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to go and read X-Men comics after watching the X-Men cartoon. Again, Live and Kicking, Zoe Ball, all of that. After the Rugrats. Loved it. But then when I actually did convince someone to take me to go Forbidden Planet and look for comics, all the X-Men comics were like weird versions of the characters. It was like, it didn't look like what I wanted it to look like, if you know what I mean. Like, so because what was on the cartoon wasn't actually what was happening in the comics at that point, at least when I was trying to. So I always was annoyed at the Age of Apocalypse. I was like, this ain't my X-Men, like, because I wanted the Jim Lee looks, but the comics had messed it all up. So I grew up just ignoring and just putting off Age of Apocalypse. I just didn't really care or want to know. It does appear in a sort of a spin-off of it does appear in the animated show though, right? That's why there's an episode or something that happens with Age of Apocalypse style looks. But I have grew to appreciate it. I have since reread it when those Marvel Legends came out. I've had Dan Yoon on the stream. He promised me he wouldn't release certain characters unless I started reading Age of Apocalypse. So I did read Age of Apocalypse. Found a new appreciation for it. For me, it's like it's its own subcategory of the X-Men. Exists on its own little island. Only a few of those characters leaked into the 616, like Dark Beast. Dark Beast is a cool character. It's like an evil version of Beast. Sugar Man as well.
And Nemesis. Nemesis turns up, like, destroys the Acolytes, destroys Asteroid M. He shows up in Exiles as well. Like, he's up quite a bit in the 616 and then into the expanded universe. So yeah, he's just a great character. I would really like this.
Cool. So there's some X-Men representation, villainous as well. We always like to add more villains, and there's not many big X-Men villains they haven't done in Marvel Legends form yet, but Exodus is one, Nemesis is another for sure. Nemesis is the one they called Holocaust, right? And they changed his name.
Yeah, for like obvious reasons.
Obvious
so they
reasons,
changed his name. Yeah.
Yes. Nemesis is fine. Nemesis works as a name. It's also a ride at Alton Towers, or at least it was. Is it still a ride at Alton Towers? It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just Nemesis
Reborn.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Next up, our last pick for our 90s designs is Heroes Reborn Iron Man. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Dan, we've got too many Iron Mans. Yeah, but have we got a Heroes Reborn Iron Man? To be fair, last year when I was reviewing, what was it, the return here, Avengers Return, I probably called that the Reborn Iron Man several times, and we kept mixing up the names and messing up the names. They may as well bloody give us a Heroes Reborn Iron Man now. So this was happening like 90s. There's other versions of Heroes Reborn characters as well, but we haven't got
This
in
is
figure form.
so this is the 1996 97 series from Jim Lee again, like did the X-Men. This is Jim Lee. So basically in the early 90s, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson, they all go off and they create Image comic books,
Off
like
they
an
go.
independent, off they go. And this just shows how things change so fast. So in the 90s, the Avengers, Iron Man, Hulk, Fantastic Four, they weren't selling. They weren't selling very well. So, like you had the Age of Apocalypse for the X-Men, you had this big relaunch with Heroes Reborn. So onslaught happens, the heroes get pushed off to another reality. We don't know that at the time; they just all die. And then this new version of Iron Man from Jim Lee, Fantastic Four from Jim Lee, Captain America from Rob Liefeld, and the Avengers from Rob Liefeld all get created. Now it turns out it's a pocket universe, but at the time this was like the only way to get those characters. But this wasn't. This was Marvel licensing them out. So Wildstorm Comics and then Extreme Rob Liefeld, they did these series. So like Marvel were like, they were kind of like, oh, these are not selling. We need to do
may as well.
something. So and you think what Iron Man and Captain America are like now, and how like why they're like the public love them. They got movies, they got merchandise everywhere. But in like only mid 90s, these were like like third tier characters. They weren't Spider-Man, they weren't X-Men. Their books weren't selling. They gave them to someone else to try and sell it. Not the best comic book run, aborted after like 12 issues. And I think what happens after when Kurt Busiek gets the Avengers and Iron Man is much better. Like they definitely put them back on track. But this is just a great look of that era. I think not all the looks change too much, but it's just kind of like he's got those like steam engines on the back of him. It's just a really
I
nice
like
Jim
his
Lee
pipe
design.
work.
It still looks like Iron Man, but it's like you can still see the Jim Lee like sensibilities as well, and it's just a great look. And the Jim Lee, everyone loves a Jim Lee figure, so why not do this version of Iron Man?
Look, it's an Iron Man character. We're all creating our own comic versions, Hall of Armors, etc. So I've always been the type of guy when it comes to Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse and Iron Man and the Hall of Armor, you can always justify adding another one to the collection for sure.
But Dan, I think something's
Hang on, I need to do the vote. I need to do the. Oh, okay, well, Rich is. Okay, I don't know what's happening with Rich. Okay, I'll figure that out in a second. So while Rich is gone, I'll just look at the poll. I'll just look at the vote for a second. So, right, okay, so there's the poll right now. Again, I'll wait for it to get to 50 votes. So you have your pick of these four characters. We have Feral, we have Kane Parker, we have Nemesis of Holocaust, and then we have the Heroes Reborn Iron Man. As I was saying, it's a character, another Iron Man Hall of Armor character for sure. But I don't hate that design, to be honest. It's not my mind's eye of Iron Man, but I like the alternative look, shall we say? So I let the votes go up because it's close. You know, it's close. And it was close, but it seems like Kane Parker has took a lead. So let's bounce back to the chat, and we can see there over 50 votes, and Kane Parker is 38%, but Ferrell's catching up, you know, with 30%, 31. Kane Parker's gone to 40%. So if you're watching this on the replay, you can see it happening live there. Again, me personally, if I had to pick between these four, I would probably say, just for my own selfish reasons, Ferrell. I like completing teams, and I think she is a glaring gap with the X-Force. So for me personally, the next one on the list I would want is Feral. Maybe after that, I'd say Nemesis, just because again I like villains. Then Kane Parker, and then Iron Man. That would be my order of preference anyway. But I'm going to end the poll and let the winner be. Let's go to the poll. Going to end it right now. And it seems like Kane Parker is our winner. So there we go. Kane Parker is our winner for our 90s category. And to be fair, that's very on brand for the 90s, as it's all about the clone Spider-Man in the 90s, at least in my mind. So Kane Parker. So our three winners so far from these categories have been Punisher, winning. We want a new, upgraded, updated Punisher and Marvel Legends form, butterfly joints, interchangeable heads, loads of weaponry to represent the 70s. In the 80s, we want a new Rachel Summers in a hound look to complete that Excalibur team. Of course, I'm in the UK. I'm always going to be repping Excalibur. And then in the 90s, which, again, we had endless possibilities for the 90s, but we went for Kane Parker, or you guys went for Kane Parker. I'm sure Tanner and his evil mob were amongst the voting there for Kane Parker. So yeah, we've got Punisher, Rachel Summers, and Kane Parker so far. And I'll wait for Rich to come back. I think he's had to log out or something, but that's fine. That's fine. I can talk to myself for a minute, or I can talk to you guys for a second, actually. Let's get the chat back up. So what are you guys saying so far within these picks? So Tanner goes yay. So at least Tanner's got something to be happy about, assuming Tottenham are still losing. We've got Big M says, give us a Kane to help complete the Clone Saga. Yes, absolutely. That's what I think we are all on the same page on that one. Dale also says it was on in between. What's on in between us? Capliv says Airway Nightcrawler moves over to the 616 as well. Good shout. And I think people would. There are a few other AOA designs people would want, and I think Gambit's another one that people have been asking for quite a lot. But I think I can in my ears hear Rich coming back. So that doesn't look right. Who are you and what have you done with Rich?
Oh, hey Dan, my name's Rich M. I'm from the year 2099.
Rich 2099.
Yeah, for the year 2099, Dan. It's been a lot of work, it has.
How? Where's the other Rich gone? Or are you just the Rich I knew that have just got into the future? What?
I've been to the future, Dan. Got a new haircut, got a new accent, got some new clothes, got a new cyborg arm, everything, Dan. Yes, it's mad in the year 2099. Mad, absolutely bonkers.
I need you to show everyone your cyborg arm again.
What cyborg arm?
That is some of the most futuristic tech I've ever seen. That is insane. Don't let Elon Musk see that. He'll be stealing it. Is he? He's man from the future as well, isn't he?
Secret. Oh, it's coming apart, man! Technology's falling apart!
It's because you've come back in the past. We just cannot hold it together. Well, do you know what?
I've also lost my top as well, Dan. I don't know where that's gone. It's mad.
While you're here, you've given me a genius idea, because we can talk about, as a bonus, characters from the 2099 universe.
That would be a good idea, Dan, because I met them all, Dan.
Let's see if we can. Maybe Rich M from 2000, Rich M of 2099 is a part of this category. But we're going to start off with Dr. Doom, who I think must have been inspired with your cyborg arm, at least the chromeness of it. I assume in the year 2099, the Marvel Legends line is still strong and well, and you are continuing to celebrate anniversaries even still. Do we yet to have this version of Doctor Doom in the future?
There is Doctor Doom in the future, Dan, and he's actually the real Victor Von Doom. He's from your time. He's come forward.
Of course he has.
It's the same guy, not different, not a clone. But you know what he's got, Dan? He's got adamantium armor, Dan. So, you know, if Hasbro made that, it'd be in white plastic, wouldn't it?
I guess things haven't changed in the future. So we've got the regular 616 Doctor Doom, went forward in the future and upgraded to adamantium armor to give us the Doom from 2099. Look, Marvel Legends love giving us Doctor Dooms. I wouldn't put them past them to put another one. Interesting first choice. Next up. Now, this guy has already won the vote once today. He took our 80s vote, which was over 100 years ago for someone like yourself. But that's where he debuted. That's where he all started. But somehow Frank Castle is still in the future. Now, is this some sort of ascendant of Frank Castle with some upgraded armor? What's going on?
It's not Frank Castle at all, Dan. This is Jacob Gallows from the year 2099. But you know what he does? He finds Frank's secret diary. Frank was like, "Dear diary, today I'm going to be the Punisher. And he found it, and he thought, I'm going to be the Punisher too. Good job he didn't find Carrie Bradshaw's diary. It'd have been a different story, wouldn't it?
There's a few other diaries out there you could have found, but thankfully he found one of the Punishers, and now he's giving out justice using all this new fancy tech. Look at this like armor he's got on, very fancy. So
how does he bend with that belt?
Yeah.
I think he'd break in two, wouldn't he?
He would. He'd have to. Maybe he's got maybe a cyborg arm attachment.
Oh,
like you,
definitely.
And they just it's like helps grab things or something like that. Look, it's the future. You know it more than me. I'm just speculating away here. So okay, so we've got Punisher 2099 and Doom so far. All right, Doom and Punisher from 2099. Next up, who's this lovely lady?
This is Cerebra, and don't let the lack of 2099 after her name fool you. She's part of X-Men 2099.
Oh,
so
okay.
Cerebra, she got psychic powers. She's like linked into it, but she travels back in time, and she's part of the House of X era Marauders. Really crap comic book. Do not read it.
Okay.
Read Marauders Volume 1, not Marauders 2. Absolute shit show. But this is one of the members of X-Men 2099. This is Shakti Hadid. Really good character. Eventually becomes leader when Xian goes away, but she never had a figure. Toy Biz back in your early 90s, back in history, nearly 100 years ago.
100 years ago, yeah, for years.
Yeah, they did 2 series of X-Men 2089. They missed out the main female members of Cerebra and Crystalline, but I would love a Cerebra figure. It would look amazing. Look at her. Doesn't she look beautiful, Dan? Beautiful.
She looks
Now
great.
arm up for Cerebra.
Yeah, absolutely. She's got some great assets there for sure. I'm sure the Legends team would do justice in figure form. California Red Devil with the super chat says this whole stream is NFL Super Pro era Shaw. I don't know what that means. Some sort of American football reference. Is there sports still in the future, or is it all collapsed? Or is there
Tiddlywinks, professional Tiddlywinks,
I
2099.
knew it. I was born in the wrong era. Tiddlywinks was my game. Sad times. All right, cool. Next up, Hulk 2099. Now, Hulk, like yourself, seems to have grew a little bit of hair and looks a bit more lizard-like. What's happened with the Hulk? I'm assuming this isn't the Bruce Banner we know and love.
No, he's John Eisenhart. He was the studio executive for Lotus Land Productions. And I'm going to be honest with you, Dan. Rich M of the past never read Hulk 2099, but he looked good, so he just chucked him in there. Didn't do any research. He phoned it in, Dan. He phoned this one in.
Look, that's absolutely fine. We like to talk about things in the perspective of how they would look of action figures, and I have no doubts that if we got Hulk in 2099 in action figure form, he would look very cool. Hasbro do a pretty good job at some of the more deluxe characters. As long as they don't give them butterfly joints only on the back. That is a pet peeve of Hulk figures of the past here, Rich, is that they only give us Hulk figures with butterfly joints at the back. As long as this guy's got some butterfly joints at the front, would be fine with it. So let me just set up this vote here, Rich. Just give us some interesting facts about the future while I'm setting up this vote. What's going on in the year 2009?
I was just chuckling at what Dale Riley said. I swear that lady in the bottom screen gave me my COVID jab a few years ago. If you in the future, Dale, maybe I did.
Is COVID? Did COVID come back around? Was there another pandemic at any point in the future?
It was the common cold, Dan. Killed everyone. Killed every fucker out there. Sorry, guys. Common cold.
Damn. That's why we had to come back as cyborgs, just so the common cold couldn't take us down.
My arm. Do you know who got my arm?
Who got your arm?
Kitty fucking Pryde,
Kitty
traveling
Pryde.
from days of future past. The bitch, but I jabbed her in the eye. I lost my arm, but she lost everything. No Kitty Pryde. Hasbro never ever made another Kitty Pryde after that Excalibur box set. They never made another one, Dan. In the next 100 years, no Kitty Prydes forever. For 52 Jubilees.
52 Jubilees, and no
52
one
Jubilees.
No one got to
one
finish.
a year.
No one got to finish their astonishing X-Men team. Kitty Pryde was never made. You heard it here from the man from the future, Rich M from 2099, traveled back in time.
Dwight 2099, he's still going, so no one's had a Banshee either. No one's had a green Banshee in the year 2099. Still waiting.
Fucking hell. Okay, right. The poll is now live. Okay, so Rich from 2099, which of these figures would make good Marvel Legends? Which is your pick?
I mean, I think probably Doom 2099 is the most likely, because it's Doom, it's Victor Von Doom in a different uniform, and it'd be quite easy to me. For me, I'll buy Cerebra. Cerebra is good. If you've been reading modern comic books, Punisher 29, he shows up in the Savage Avengers, so he's probably the most up-to-date one. Hulk 2099, we're probably never going to get. I know nothing about him, so who gives a shit anyway? I don't really.
Well, the poll so far, it seems like Doom is winning, which is odd considering how many Dooms we already have. I'd definitely always go for a new character over a re-release, especially of a character's design which isn't even my mind's eye. So
I've got this wing on back to front as well. I was like, why did everyone say lunch lady? That's why. Oh, back to normal. Sorry, who's that? Where's that voice came from? Oh.
Cerebral would be my pick because it's a new character. I like the world building aspect. I like learning via the medium of action figures. That would be my pick. And like yourself, I don't really care for Hulk 2099. I don't care. He looks like some sort of lizard creature. There you go. That's the Hulk. At least he kept his trousers on in the year 2099 as well. That's convenient for all. But there we go.
Right.
Right, I'm going to let the vote get to 50. So we need 3 more votes here for clearly people not too excited with the 2099 voting because people...
How dare they not vote, Dan? All the fucking... Look at the effort. Look at the effort we went through.
Rich had to surgically remove his arm for you people, and you couldn't even get us to 50 votes.
Grew beautiful hair.
Grew his hair.
Got my mask on to protect me from COVID. Oh.
What's that serum in The Simpsons that Homer uses to grow that hair really quickly? 10 points to anyone who gets the name of that in the chat. Right, I'm ending this poll. There's the poll. For the live chat, for anyone in the replay crew, that's what we're currently looking at. Which of these 2019 characters would you like to see in Marvel Legends the most? 50% Doom virtually, and then 28 for Punisher, Cerebra 18, and the Hulk from 2099 is only 7%. I'm ending the poll right now, and it seems like Doom Doom is our winner. Right, where's our buttons gone? There we go. Right, let's get this back up. Right, so we need to have one more vote. Now, Rich, from the year 2099, are you you got a way to travel back to the future? Like, can we get the old Rich back, or are you staying? Like, what's the situation?
I mean, Dan, the effort to change back is not going to be happening, so we're sticking with this for the rest of the stream. I'm here now.
All right, let's go, 2099 Rich. I like it. Right, so we're going to end this stream with the sort of winners' votes, okay? So we're going to, out of the 4 winners today, which are Punisher, Rachel Summers, Kane Parker, and Doom 2099. There are 4 winners today. We're going to have one final vote to decide the ultimate figure that you guys would want in Marvel Legends form. So I'm going to set that up right now. Which of these characters would you want to see in Marvel Legends the most? So let's go for the Punisher, Rachel Summers, which again,
hurry the fuck up, Dan. My forearm is falling apart, man.
Sorry, Kane Parker and Doom 2099. There we go. The final vote is now live. It is up to the audience now. That final vote is happening. I'll put it up on the chat while we're here. So there's a quick recap of everything we talked about today. Everything flashing on the screen while these guys vote along. Some great picks, by the way. Some great characters that we absolutely need in Marvel Legends form. And just to remind anybody that this is just me and Rich of the future having some fun. We don't think... Well, these ain't predictions. Like...
No, Dan, I found out that you're actually in charge of Hasbro's lists every year. You do the selection. We know that in the year 2099 is actually down to you, and Brian's action figures from Ireland as well. You two, you decide it all.
Damn, I thought our secret connection was secret. Oh, well, Brian, you may as well come on the show next week. You can be the third host. It's fine.
Hey.
Right, okay, there's the poll. It's happening. So, it's weird, right? How, like... Punisher absolutely...
It's not a jockstrap. It's a fucking dust mask. California Red Devil. Calm down. Calm yourself.
Right, so... Hang on. What's going on here? So, we've got Punisher with 27 votes. And again, we're talking about a new upgraded Punisher. Like, just think, a Legends Deluxe Punisher, lots of articulation, interchangeable heads, similar to the upgraded Black Widow we got last year. That's sort of where my mind goes for Punisher. Whether it will happen, probably not, but it's what I'd like to happen. So we're putting it into the zeitgeist. Rachel Summers to update the Excalibur, finish that team in a Hound outfit, give us some fire effects that don't go to a Ghost Rider character. That would be great. Kane Parker, for those 90s lover filling out their Spider-Verse. I'm sure people would appreciate that. But only 11% of the vote here Tanner. Clearly, Tanner's angry mob have went home early. He thought their job was done, so he's let them all go. And now Kane's losing out on some votes. And then in last place, no one cares about Doom 2099. So,
2099, look at the effort. Vote for Richard 2099. Doom
would it have
2099.
changed anyone's vote if that was Rich M of 2099 rather than Doom of 2099? Maybe it would. Maybe it would have.
Where else do you get this effort on YouTube?
Clearly, nowhere. I told you, best Marvel Legends live stream on the YouTubes. That's for sure. Right. Okay. I'm ending the poll. Over 50 votes. Rachel Summers takes it with 50% of the vote. Rachel Summers. Let me find a picture of her to finish the stream. There she is. Rachel Summers took it, people. There she is. So we've got last week's winner now on the cards. If you watched last week's show, to be fair, if you've watched this long of this show, you probably know that last week's winner was Bucky. All right, spoiler alert. So Bucky won last week's show, and Rachel Summers has won this week's show. Okay, so again, I'm keeping track of this, but hopefully it's out there. If the Marvel Legends team are lurking, there you go. The people have spoken. Rich M of the future has spoken. Rich M, I assume, in the year 2099, without a poll like this, doing the market research for the Hasbro team, we still don't even have a Rachel Summers.
We don't have a Rachel Summers, no. And we had X-Men 97 Wave 3 in the year 2097.
Oh, bloody hell. People are going to have to wait. So I'm glad that you have came back in time to rechange the timeline, and we are now going to be part of this all verging timeline where Rachel Summers gets created sooner rather than later. Thanks to this poll. So well done. Rich M coming back in time was worth it for that. So thank you very much to everyone for contributing to today's poll. Again, we did the 70s, 80s and 90s. So we have now talked about 6-7 different decades of Marvel, but there are still some more to talk about. Next week we are going to be getting into the noughties, and maybe by then our friend Rich from the past can find out a way to return. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck with hairy COVID.
Oh, I'm going to be your forever dad. I'm your new co-host. Better than Brandon and better than Rich M. I'm the best. Rich M 2099.
Best co-host, Rich M 2099. So before we get out of here, I do want to remind everyone, it is Legend of the Liquor weekend. So if you are available this weekend for Legend of the Liquor, it is going to be Sunday, the 5th of May. Legend of the Liquor. Start hitting me up on the DMs on Instagram at It's Dan Who to be a part of that show. And of course, if you want to be a part of the bonus show right now, come over to YouTube right now, hit me up on Instagram, ask for that extra crew link, and yeah, all you have to do is be a Who Crew Deluxe member to watch it and be a part of it. Simple as that. Be a part of the show right now, and maybe we'll get to meet some future versions of people. I doubt anyone will put in that effort, to be fair. But Rich M of 2099, tell the good people where they can find you online, or if not you can plug the old Rich in his presence, since you know everything about the future anyway.
You can find me in casinos and at local racetracks betting on horses, because I know all the winners, Dan. I know all the winners. That's where I'll be. But apart from that, you can find me on Display One's Instagram. I haven't posted anything in months, and I won't post anything in the next 20 years either. But there we go. Go follow me.
Do England win the Euros this year? In the year
England doesn't exist anymore, Dan.
Oh,
We're all part of Ireland now. Hooray!
I knew Brian Action Figure Collection rules over us all. We like Brian, by the way. We say that with love. Shout out Brian. Right.
I love Brian. Shout out Brian.
So do I. Right, okay. Thank you very much, everyone in the chat. Hopefully, I'll see you on Sunday for Legend of Liquor. If not, we will continue this theme next week. All right, this theme will continue next week. And we will move into the
This theme will not continue next week. I'm telling you that now.
Maybe that theme won't, but we will continue breaking down all of the figures in Marvel's 85th anniversary, as we are dedicated to going through every single decade this year, even if the Hasbro team are not. All right, so let's get out of here.
It looks like I've skinned Susan Boyle. That's what my hair looks like.
It does actually look like Susan Boyle's hair.
I dreamed a dream of time gone by.
Someone find Susan Boyle right now. She's lying around bald. She's been scalped by someone. Remember that episode of South Park called Susan Boyle, where someone gets a boil of Susan? Oh, never mind. Anyway, let's get out of here. Where's my end button? Go and click on that video, or click on that video. Shout out to Rich M of 2099. It was great for him to make a camera. You can't see him, but on camera, he's something's happening. He's a cyborg. He's glitching out. Go and watch one of these videos, and I'll see you next week. Check